Hey there, it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and in this video we're going to put together our August Stamp Club card packet. So let's go ahead and grab our Silly Safari stamp set, our 1 7/8" circle punch, and jump in and get started. First though, I want to remind you or warn you or let you know that your catalog is in the mail. Some of us have already gotten ours, so watch your mail for your new mini catalog. It should be arriving like any day now. And lots of good stuff in there. Okay, put that aside. So grab your packet, and you can see that the third card this month for club that I include in your packet is a Christmas card, and that's just kind of a reminder for you guys that it's time to get ready to make your Christmas cards. Okay, so we'll talk about that when we meet at our meeting on Zoom next month in September. So because August we had it yesterday, it went really well, it was fun, we got stuff done. Okay, so in your packet you'll see there's kind of like the light green side, or light green, really it's granny green apple on this side, and then on this side, where's my, there we go, you have a piece of thick white that has a bunch of score lines on it. Now I've folded mine so you can really see the score lines. Yours might not look quite like that, and your cardstock looks a little different because I had to fold it to put it in your packet. But and then we need these two pieces of basic white. The rest of this we'll just leave for the next card to set that down. Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and take this big piece of white that has all those score lines and just fold, making sure the sides of our card, and really I'm getting ahead of myself because we're going to stamp first, but I'm going to fold on all those score lines. We'll do this real quick and get it done and ready to apply. Okay, so when you fold all those score lines, it's going to look and turn into something that looks like this. That's what your card's going to look like. Okay, and then when you put it in your envelope, it lays flat like this, and then it pops up when your recipient, I guess you'd call it, takes out their card. Anyway, let's go to stamping though. I got ahead of myself. We're going to set this aside. So on that one, well, you might need both of them, you might only need one. I only needed one, but I sent you lots of paper in case you want to do your stamping a little different than I did. So I'm going to take one of those, and the first thing I want to do before I do anything is I'm going to use my 1 7/8 hole punch, and with as little waste as I can, I'm going to punch 7 white little holes. Now before you do this, you might want to listen to me, because if you would rather stamp and then punch, like I said, I have you a bunch of cardstock, you should be able to do that, but you got to make sure you leave enough room after you've stamped to punch your holes. I'm going to go ahead and punch first and then stamp, which really isn't the normal, but in this case we're using a photopolymer stamp set. It tends to work. 1 2 3 4 5, we need 7 of them. Let me get back on task here. 7. Okay, now on those 7 circles, we're going to stamp each of the little animals. And I'm going to just stamp a couple of them because I've done a bunch of work in advance, so you don't have to sit here. We're going to do a lot of coloring today, and so you don't have to sit and watch me color all of these. I've already stamped and colored a few of them. But what I want to remind you is that when you stamp your animals, they kind of go, I'll show you on the card. See how you got to get the edge of your animal on the edge of the circle. So for the rhinoceros here, for example, I'm going to make sure when I stamp him, I'm going to make sure those edges are to the edge of the circle. Hope that makes sense. Slide him over here. So something like that. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to color it, but stamp your animals so they're in those circles. Make sense? Let me show you one more. Let me grab a piece of scratch paper here so I don't make a mess all over my glass mat. But for the giraffe, for example, he's a big stamp. I'm going to lay him this way and ink him up. And I'm using black Memento ink because I'm going to use the Stampin' Blends. And then I'm going to just stamp him so his head fits nicely in that circle. And I think it's easier to punch your circles out first and then stamp all your animals. So on those 7 circles that we punched out, we're gonna stamp. Let me show you on the stamp set. we're going to stamp a giraffe, right? Got him. We're going to stamp a rhinoceros, a zebra, a monkey. But the monkey, let me show you that one too, because that one's a little bit tricky. And I don't have this stamp. I'm going to take that stamp that's in a circular motion and get that monkey out. I should have done this in advance. I wasn't thinking for a second there. And I'm going to put them on my cardstock here so they don't stick to my glass mat and not have the right shape. Let me set those on a block real quick. So we got our monkey, and we have our little circle of words. And this one just says, "It's your birthday, go wild." That's the one we want to use. And I'm going to stamp the words first. Put my black ink away on that circle. And I'm going to try really hard. Now this is a fine line, so you want to tap here, or if you have a felt pad, you want to really put some pressure. I put black memento ink into a white, so it's a white, like an empty case, so it's a foam. So I tap here, and then up here I'm going to just set my stamp and not apply too much pressure, because we don't want to smush those fine lines. I hope all that made sense. But I'm going to make sure, and I might get my head in the camera, but way here at the top of my circle, I'm going to stamp those words like this. Just barely set my stamp down, let that ink sink in. And then you have your words there, and then we're going to put the monkey, and let me get that scratch paper again. We're going to put that monkey right under the words. So he's going to hang off the bottom just a little bit, but we want him to look like this. Yeah? I think that's really cute. So that's going to help our card. And this is really going to be the second card, but we're going to do all of our stamping now. Okay. And then, like I said, you're going to stamp the zebra and the leopard. I think that's the other animal, also on your little dots. And then let me show you what they look like. They end up looking like this. Now, I'm going to tell you how I colored each one of them too, just so you have an idea. Now, you can just use whatever. I think it all works. But this is what my circles look like when I'm done. Now, if you need to go see what they look like, I've put a picture on my gallery. The link is in the description below, so you can see them and take your time and color them. But let me show you the colors, or tell you the colors that I did. On my giraffe here, I really like that new Darling Duckling. So I colored the main part all in the light color, and then I just came on highlighted some of those little lines on the stamp in the dark Darling Duckling. For his spots, I used dark pecan pie, and then for his tongue and his mane, I used dark smoky slate. So that's how I colored my little giraffe. Now for the zebra, I stamped him in black, and I just used a little bit of the light. Here it is, the light pretty in pink, and I just colored his snout. He had to have some color on there, and I thought that color looked pretty good for a zebra. And then for the monkey, I colored him in the dark pecan pie, and then I used some light, make sure I got the right color here. Nope, that's not the right color. Light, here it is, crumb cake, and that's how I colored his face to look like that. Okay, for the leopard, I used some of that new Timid Tiger. I just used the dark. I think this is the right one. And just got to make sure you leave some white on there to give him. I kind of followed the dots on the stamp to kind of decide where I should color the orange on there. So that's Timid Tiger. For the rhinoceros, I used that dark. Yeah, I think that was dark smoky slate, and then a little bit of the light pink, and made sure I kind of outlined his ear to give him some color on his little ear there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the other two, I just took my Darling Duck ink pad and stamped some of those little wingedings. I don't know what they're called, these little triangles in a shape here. Stamped them at the top and the bottom. This is where you'll write "Love Kathy," "Happy Birthday," whatever you want to write on there. And then I did the same thing here and included that "Woohoo, it's your birthday" in the center. So that's how I did all of my little circles that we're going to set aside. Those are for the other card. Okay, while I had that giraffe stamp set out, or stamp out, I went ahead on that piece of paper that I cut all those circles from. Let me clean up a little bit here. All those circles, I went ahead and stamped a giraffe. I stamped and colored him the same way. I stamped 2 of the leaves here. These are in garden green. And I stamped those on this scratch paper too. And like I said, if you don't have enough room on this one, I gave you a whole nother sheet. You should have plenty of white. I also stamped in that black memento, the happy birthday you party animal, and the Hakuna Matata. Excuse me, Hakuna Matata. I stamped in the timid tiger along just an edge, because we're going to just fussy cut all of this out. And I haven't done that in advance, so I apologize. You're going to have to watch me fussy cut, but it won't take long. So that's that stamping. Then on these pieces here for this card, you have the two garden green. They're not exactly the same size. One's a little bit bigger than the other. Doesn't matter right now. You have your designer series paper, and you have a piece of really, this is thick basic white because I used the leftover from our card bases to cut this piece. Doesn't matter either. But we're going to stamp on this piece right here. And the first thing I'm going to stamp with is garden green. And this leaf stamp right here. We're going to stamp that just a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. Let me show you what the card looks like so you can see what we're doing. This is what we're stamping right here, is this part right here. So let me grab that scratch paper, which has escaped. Here he is. And I'm going to just take that stamp that has also, here he is. I'm going to have a here he is game or something, because it's always here he is. Okay, so just along the top here, I'm going to just, depending how much room you want to write, depends on how much area you take up with your leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and do the same thing, just kind of making it look like we're in the jungle. Oh, I might have got that one kind of low, but that's going to be just perfect. And take your time and stamp a nice image like that. And then we're going to take some pecan pie ink. Well, at least I should say I'm going to. If you have colors that are close, of course they'll work. And that woohoo, it's your birthday. I'm going to ink that up in that pecan pie and just stamp that somewhere along there. Nice. Okay, so this is the part I'm going to apologize because I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot to fussy cut these two. So let me quickly fussy cut my giraffe and my leaves. Thank goodness you can fast forward on the video. You don't have to sit and watch me. I'm going to make this paper a little bit smaller here so it's easier to work with. But just cut out quickly my giraffe. I'm going to stay away from those two so I have room to cut those two. Okay, so I'm going to save these two greetings for the next card. We'll fussy cut those in just a second. Real quick, light. It doesn't take too much time. What I like to do is I like to first of all cut out the leaf. And I'm doing an itty bitty little border here. And really, you probably wouldn't have to do those little nooks in the leaf, but they don't take long. There's one, and then you just come back in and get those little nooks and cranny out of this little leaf. And you'll see how I take my scissors and put it where I want it, and then I just turn the paper, and look how easy those are to cut out of there. This one's a little tricky because he's little. We probably could have just ignored him and pretend, but I'm going to trim him out just a little bit there. Oop, dropped him. Okay, that wasn't so bad. That little piece of paper out of there. Okay, let's hurry and do this one, and not hurry. I'm going to try not to bore you with fussy cutting. In fact, I think you guys know this because you've been with me for a long time if you're part of Stamp Club. Fussy cutting, I don't mind at all. Coloring all those little animals, that I did not consider fun. But I do like the end result, so it was worth it. Okay, really quickly get these little notches here. I'm gonna even ignore this little tiny notch up here on this one, and we'll see if we can see the difference, but I don't think it's gonna even matter. Okay, so now I have my leaves. Real quick, we'll do the giraffe too. He doesn't take long either. So I want to get a little closer there. Just a little white border. I'd like to know, what do you call these? Is it giraffe have horns? What are these knobby things called on the top of a giraffe's head? Because we're going to go around those. And as smooth as we can get those little circles. Okay, we're almost on the downhill here. There we go. And I'm going to just trim it off here at the end. We're not going to see that part down there anyway. Okay, phew, we got all of our fussy cutting done. Clean up a little bit here. Okay, we have all of our stamping done now. So now let's go ahead and assemble this card here. Okay, these are the pieces we need for this card. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my seat. Now you see I have a big area here. Right, this is the back of our card, this is the front of our card, and I fold it over so this is the fold of our big side, and there's just a little bit of area here, and then you have this piece here. I hope you can see where it's folded like that, right? So this big area you can see here, a little bit of strip paper here, and then you have this and a fold line. We're going to put liquid glue, at least I'm going to use liquid glue because I think it's easier so you can slide it around, and I'm going to put liquid glue on this area right here. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to just fold it over. I hope that made sense. So now it looks like this, right? And then before that glue dries, you want to make sure it folds both ways. Because like I said, this is how you're going to put it into your envelope like this. And then it pops up to be a 3D card like that. Cute, right? Okay, let's get those green pieces in that designer series paper. Now the designer series paper fits on one piece of your garden green with just a itty bitty border, and that one we stamped on fits on the other piece. The first thing I would double check is just to make sure. I checked when I made your packet, but you never know that they fit perfect there. And then with just a little bit of glue so we can slide them into place, I'm going to layer those two pieces. Well, really it's 4 pieces. I'm going to layer those 4. You know what I'm talking about. Lay this down here. And since it has that little border, it's nice to be able to slide it so it looks pretty good. There we go. And then this piece, just take this one and layer it. And I was just thinking, I wonder what the name of this designer series paper is, and I can't remember for the life of me right now. I do know it's on the last chance list, which doesn't make me very happy. But maybe, I don't know, if you need to know what designer series paper that is, shoot me a message and I'll answer your message. Okay, this piece here is gonna go flat or glued right here. This piece is gonna be glued up here. So we're just gonna do that too. Again, it has that little tiny border. And I should give you the demonstrator that I cased this card from Stampin' Up's website, and I don't even know the name of her name to who I should give credit for this card, but it was not my design, but I think it's absolutely adorable. So if it's your card, you're the demonstrator, and you happen to see my video, which I don't think you will, but you never know, give me a shout out so we can tell you kudos and how great your card is. And I apologize that I don't have your name handy. Okay, I got to decide, do I want it this way? Yeah, I want the dark side down. So I'm going to put it on there like that. And then, believe it or not, we're almost done with a really cute fun fold card. And it still pops up, goes both ways. It's that thick white, so it has a lot of stability. Now we're going to take these 3 pieces and I'm going to put them on with dimensionals. So take my dimensionals here and I'm going to just put 3 on the giraffe. Now when I put the dimensionals onto my leaves, I'm going to be a little bit more strategic because I got to make sure when I put the leaves on, I only want dimensionals like on the side here. So in fact, I'm going to use mini dimensionals. Let's see, do I have some mini? I should have mini dimensionals here. Yeah, right here. My mother would say if they were a snake, they would have bit you, but I don't know if that's nice, and I do like snakes. So I have my dimensionals on this side, right? And then I'm going to just put a little bit of glue right here just to make sure it stays put. Where's my, there we go. Oop, a lot of glue. There we go. And then this one, I want to put dimensionals down this side. Now, if you hang off the side, if it hangs off the side here, it's just fine because when you fold it, you still have this much area to work with. So you don't have to be careful about it hanging off the side. I hope that makes sense too. If you've been to Stamp Club long enough, like Jody tells me, we probably speak a whole nother language, but usually we understand each other. So there's your card just like that. Ooh, and I got glue here. Hang on, I gotta erase that little bit of glue from my finger on my white. There we go. And it looks like that. Now, if you watched my supply video, I did not include, and now I can't find those. Where'd they go? There's my game again. But here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple of these little dots. Now this would be from your stash. I didn't include them in your packet, but I think it looks cute even without them. But I'm gonna go ahead and just add a couple little embellishments here to my card, because what's a card without embellishments? This one's stuck to the table. How do we get that off of there? There we go. And now we have our finished card that looks like that. Alrighty, so let's go on to card number 2. Get all those other pieces and all those little parts from our packet. That has now, they're way over there. Okay, let me clean up a little bit and make room to work. I can put all my Stampin' Blends away. So the first thing we need to do is we need to attach all these circles to all of our black circles that are cut from the Stylus shape dies. At least I know that part. And I'm gonna just use liquid glue because there again, when you're trying to put a circle onto a circle, you need sometimes to slide them around. And I think that's the easiest way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some liquid glue on there. And you see that stitch around the edge of the black circle, you wanna center your white in there. This way. And I believe there's a front and a back. I like the bumps to be up, but that's just my preference. You have to go with what you like. Now, if you think, hey, I didn't get enough circles, just know sometimes I cut them out 2 at a time and they might just be stuck together. You might just have to peel them apart. I think that I did a last minute count and they're all separate, but like I said, just in case, double check to make sure if you're short a circle that it's not just stuck to the other one. Okay, one more, and then we have all of our little circles ready. We just have to do one more prep, and then we will assemble our card. Put our little cheetah, nope, bumps up, there we go, on this circle. Look how cute they are. These have to be some of the cutest animals that I think we've ever had. Okay, one more thing we have to do. So you have this designer series paper that has all these leaves that are like outline, and then some of them are black. I'm gonna take a Stampin' Write marker and my scratch paper again, because I don't want to get any, I just don't have to clean up my glass mat. And we're gonna color all those, all those little leaves that are outlined, not colored in black. Now I'm gonna use, like I said, my Stampin' Write marker, and I'm gonna use the brush tip. I'm gonna be really soft-handed, because first of all, I don't wanna ruin my brush tip, and I don't wanna go out the lines. Another thing I've noticed is you need to make it look like all in the same direction. So I'm gonna just do little like strokes up and down and get all of those leaves that are white colored into green. And did I say I was using Granny Apple green? It's the same color as our cardstock. And did you know Stampin' Up! Is phasing out, or at least they're already on the last chance list, all of the Stampin' Write markers. So if you want Stampin' Write markers, now the time to get them. They're also phasing out red rubber. So if there's a red rubber stamp, that you want or have had on your wish list, they're gonna start phasing out the red rubber, and everything will be photopolymer or the see-through, like the clear ones. The other thing Stampin' Up! Is working on is all new packaging. So as the old packaging runs out, they will have new packaging, which is skinnier, more slimline, so it'll be less storage. You would need less room for storage, which is really convenient. So when you color, you need to color this piece, and I've already done this, you don't have to watch me. We need to color all 3 of these pieces of designer series paper. Look how cute that looks with the green and black. I think it's great. Okay, let's keep going. Now you pause the video, go color your paper, and then come back. So now we have all of our pieces here. We're gonna take this Granny Apple green, fold it on that score line. This is 8.5, no it's not, it's 11 by 4 1/4, and I've scored it at 5.5. We're gonna put that there. These 2 pieces, the larger ones, and I don't think it has a top or a bottom, they're just kind of scattered leaves, but we're gonna take these and we're gonna add them to the inside of our card. I guess I should bring the card in here so you can see what we're doing, huh? Okay, let me throw this in there and then I'll grab the card. So we're gonna put this one on this side, and like I said, I don't think it matters top, bottom, it's just a bunch of leaves. And really it's just a background, so it's not gonna be the focal point or anything. And we'll put this in there. Try to get it straight. Yep, good enough, like this. Okay, let's bring in the card so you can see. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. It's got that pop-up element in the center, but here's our 2 designer series papers. Okay, now on the front, that little strip of designer series paper, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add it to this basic black. And it fits, has a border on the sides, but it fits top to bottom, or at least it should. That's what, I'm not perfect. So if it's not perfect, we're gonna cut it down to see how it fits. So after you get your designer series paper on there, just turn it over and make sure. Mine looks pretty good. I hope yours does too. And then we're gonna take that basic white and we're gonna attach this all the way to the end. And then if you need to trim the top or the bottom, we can do that then too. So let's go ahead and add this to our basic white. And I like mine. Now, there again, you don't have to do it like mine, but I'm going to put mine all the way to the edge. If you want a little border there, then by all means, you add a little border. It looks like that. And then I'm going to check. Yep, see, I need to trim off just a little bit here at the edge so they're the same size. The bottom, okay, like that. Then let's go ahead and attach this to the front. Make sure my card opens right. Yes, I want this on the left side. So it looks like that. Okay, let's go ahead and attach this piece to the inside. So we're gonna fold this like a W. So I fold it in the middle and then I fold this piece back and it has all those little score lines on there for you. I'm even gonna use my bone folder. Put that one, fold this one back. And then you have a long strip that looks like that. I guess it could be an M. I think it needs to be a W. But we're gonna take that, right? This is the center here. We have the open edge here. I'm gonna apply tape. Although you could use the green glue here too, but this time I really don't want it to slide around. So I'm gonna apply tape here. Remember, this is the open edge, not the fold. On this way, open up our card. I'm gonna try to get it in the center all the way to the edge and set that down right there. Then we're gonna just put some tape on the top of the whole pile here. And I'm not being very sparing. I'm making sure I put a lot of tape on there so it doesn't come loose. And then I'm gonna just fold my card over and close it. And then when you open it, you have a piece that looks like that. Easy, right? Looks good on both edges. We're all set. Now it's time to add all of our little animals. I'm going to first put my little giraffe here. Now, because it's all flat, I don't have to worry about adhesive. I'm going to just cover the whole thing, or at least a lot of it, with adhesive. Maybe. Yes, I am. And put him right here. Try to get him in the center. And then next, I'm going to put my little monkey right here. Now, this time I'm only going to put tape in the center because I don't want it to stick to the designer series paper in the back. I only want it to stick to that green strip. So just a little bit of tape on the inside or in the center. All thumbs. And then we're just going to lay him right here. And see how now he doesn't stick. He's got no adhesive where it doesn't need it. Next we'll do the cheetah the same way. And we'll lay him right here next to the monkey. And then last, we're gonna put this piece that has no words. Now this is where you would write your greeting or write your, I would write "Love Kathy." Hope you had a good birthday. And little teeny tiny right. Oh, and I can cover the whole thing on this one too because it's all stuck down here. And lay that there. Now that's almost the finish of the inside. Remember, we saved these two pieces here. I'm going to just take my long blade scissors and I'm going to just trim out my Hakuna Matata. And my happy birthday, you party animal. and just leave a little bit of border there. Just cut it down so it looks good. You could do this on your paper trimmer. You could do this whatever works good for you. And I'm not even worrying that it's perfect. This is kind of like a fun, you know, card that doesn't have to be perfect. Except right there is really bad, so I'm gonna fix that a little bit. Maybe it does need to be perfect. No, I'm just joking. I'm gonna put dimensionals on the back of both of those. So I'm gonna use mini dimensionals on my little Kuna Matata. Now, normally, you know, I don't like to put dimension on the inside of the card, but since we have all that folded piece, it's not really gonna matter this time. And I'm gonna take some dimensionals on the back of my happy birthday, you party animal. I'm gonna set this right down here. And then I'm gonna take this and put it right up here. And now look how cute. Okay, let's finish the front of our card. I never did bring in the sample card, did I? Oh, here it is. And first thing I'm gonna do, now nope, this card I do have it flat. This card, I bumped up all those circles. I decided I liked it better when I put this one flat, so I'm gonna put him first. And just lay him about, what do you think? Let's put him about right there. And then I'm gonna put dimensionals on these other two, on my giraffe and my little rhino. And I'm gonna take my giraffe and kind of just set him up here. And then that little rhino, I'm going to just kind of close the gap in those, in that circle. And I think that looks good right there. Now in your packet, I included, these are the Shimmer Star foam stickers, which I am absolutely in love with. They go with the Halloween suite, but they work, I think, they're gonna work on a lot of cards. I bet you, well, might have a few hundred packages of them. That might be a minor exaggeration, but I plan to use these for a lot. They're really fun because they have like height to them, but they smush down so they won't cost extra postage because there's enough padding or lift to this card as it is. But there we go. Love these little things. These things I think you need to just add to your shopping list. Okay, so now we have our cards that look like that. Let me clean up just a little bit. See if I can't bring those other cards back in here so you can see them. And I lost them. Where'd he go? That's my word of the day. Where'd he go? Okay, all of these. And then again, remember that it's probably time, if I could find my Christmas card, that I was the third card of the packet. Here he goes. That it's time to start thinking about what you want to do for Christmas. And like I said, in that catalog that came in the mail, there's lots of ideas in here, but there's also what we call online exclusives. So you go to stampinup.com and there's even more Christmas stuff there too. So, and this catalog, just so you know, will go live September 4th, I want to say. And I can't find the date off the top of my head. So September 4th, you can start shopping from this one. Online exclusive, there'll be new online exclusive September 4th, but there's already some on there now that you could check out. As always, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Thank you for being a part of Stamp Club. I hope you know how much I appreciate you. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you back here next month. Have a good one. Bye-bye.